A very warm welcome to everyone. On behalf of the core team, we are grateful to be safe and amongst you all hosting the launch of Masterclass series by MIT ID Innovation Program. For those who are joining us for the first time today, we'd like to share that MIT stands for the ever progressive, 4-decade young Maharashtra Institute of Technology. ID stands for MIT's 15-year-old pioneering Institute of Design. MIT ID's latest contribution to strengthening the global innovation ecosystem is the one-year postgraduate innovation program, which focuses on the four pillars of design, business, technology, and humanities. The key differentiators of this one-year course are a hands-on, highly customized, pro-practical, project-heavy based learning, deep immersions, and humanities. We tested our agility, adaptability, resilience as a team when we seamlessly delivered value add experiences to our student innovators and the innovation ecosystem at large via close to 45 industry interactions across the disruptive year. More value add series lined up as I speak. As promised, our open online course focusing on innovation essentials have been launched this quarter. The duration of these certificate courses will range from 1 month to 9 months, in addition to our full-time one-year campus-based course. As promised, the MIT ID Innovation Women's Network is moving ahead to plan and deliver its first collaborative project. Women leaders in the innovation domain are invited to reach out to us for mentoring opportunities. Moving on to the masterclass teaser webinar today, I'd like to introduce Mr. Praveen Jwal, Senior Consulting Partner, MIT ID Innovation Program. He is a global design-driven innovation and digital transformation strategist and practitioner turned entrepreneur with 2 decades of industry experience. He has held senior leadership and management positions at Barclays, Deutsche Bank, and SocGen. In his last role as a head of design-driven innovation with SocGen, Praveen was instrumental in conceiving, developing, and institutionalizing the Design-Driven Innovation Center of Excellence that worked at a strategic confluence of technology, business, and design. At MIT ID Innovation Program, he contributes to the academia space by equipping the young student innovators with industry readiness. This is our 45th industry interaction this season, and I, Priya Dhawan, Head of Collaborations, Branding and Outreach of the MIT ID Innovation Program, welcome you all once again to this thoughtfully curated innovation journey. Please do read the chat later for other important pointers being shared. Warm welcome once again, Praveen. Over to you.
Thank you, Priya, for introducing. Carrying over 2 decades of experience, all throughout a banker. Somewhere 2 years back, I decided that how can I convert this experience and with all the experiential learnings primarily undertaken over multiple projects, programs, portfolios, positions, roles held globally, and combine it with good conceptual understanding for the raw talent that comes through academia or that grows through different corporate levels. I came out of my corporate role last year, and with all these intentions, humble notations, I formulated my own company by the name of Strategy Forward. My good friend Harshit Desai, I don't think so. He's a part of this webinar. He's been a regular attendee with me. Collaborating with him, the idea struck, and my association with MIT ID started from there on. The first program that took birth with this practical cognition, experiential learning, combined with the strong theoretical concepts, was a program called CIE, which was introduced to MIT ID's one-year program that Priya was mentioning. And the program that I designed, developed, and delivered myself was CIE, Creativity, Innovation, and Entrepreneurship. And it was taken very well by the participants. With the success, we have moved on to introduce CIE to the next batch, which is 2020-2021 batch of MIT ID one-year program as well. Thereafter, this January onwards, the seeds were sown for the next intervention when I started thinking about innovation practice as a whole, transformation practice as a whole. Now, innovation, transformation, these words, if you Google, you'll get lakhs of pages. Many different people have different meanings, connotations, contextual to their industry, organization, or personal understanding. But I wanted to give an experiential angle to this, to an entire program. That was the thought. I have in my kitty roughly around 42 global innovation and transformation programs, starting ranging from a small scale to a large scale, from a product, service, platform, organizational design to multiple facets, have done it. So I wanted to convert all of this experience into a program that can relay or put into a repository with examples, with real life cases, which can enable for people to understand what goes in a real innovation practice, what goes through to bring an idea, or even before an idea, an insight to come out and then get into an idea shape which prototyped, and then it finally gets implemented. So that was the seed of thought when LTIP, or Leading Transformation Innovation Practice, seeds were sown. A work of nearly 7 to 8 months have gone in creating, from the conceptualization stage to a creation stage. And we proudly put this program for all of you starting 21st November, which is this being a 1 month program happening over weekends. So 8 sessions, 4 hours each. So it was modulated, customized, iterated a lot for right people to get in. And many people can get benefited, and I'll come to that what kind of roles can be benefited, because these are the questions that we get normally, that whether a beginner, whether a middle management or a senior management. Primarily, let me get the cat out of the bag right now at the start. So if you are into an innovation team, it can work for you. If you are planning to start an innovation lab or innovation practice, it works for you. If you are into a different business and want to get into an innovation team or transformation team, knowing this practice, getting this practice hands-on will work for you. So when we designed this program, there were multiple thoughts and we created it. So without much ado, let me take you through inside to the presentation, and we'll have the Q&As at the end. So why not start with the story? And I'll tell you the contextual thought behind the story, but let's start with it. The biggest paradox. It's a short story, but a great lesson. I'll take you to the greatest and the longest mythological epic in India, that is Mahabharata. The episode from which the story has been extracted is of the time when Pandavas were serving their exile, and Yudhishthir asked his junior brothers to go and search and fetch water, as they had a long day of hunting. So one by one, all these younger brothers went in search of water, found a lake, and upon finding that lake, a voice appeared, and the voice asked a question and told categorically, straightforward to each one of them, that you cannot touch the water before answering the questions. Beaming with pride, ego, all four of them did not care about the voice or the questions. They drank the water and fell dead. There, Yudhishthir was still waiting for the water. Upon a lot of weight, unrest caught up to him. He himself went up in search of water and his brothers. Upon reaching the lake, what he found, he was aghast with. He found his brothers dead. And upon seeing the lake, when he himself went close to fetch water, the voice re-emerged and said the same thing to the big fellow, that you need to answer the question before you go ahead and drink the water. Yudhishthir said, I'm fine. Please, whoever you are, please make yourself appear and ask. I'm ready to answer any question that you have. The voice was of none other than Yaksha himself. He appeared and he asked, hey, Yudhishthir, apart from many questions he asked, I'll not bug you, but one of the questions that I was intrigued with, and I put it on as a subject, the biggest paradox. The question Yaksh asked Yudhishthir was, what is the most amazing or strange thing that you find on earth? I repeat, the question was, what is the most strange thing that you find on this earth? On which Yudhishthir replied, the most amazing thing that I find is that we humans, every day, every single day, see somebody or the other, our friend, our family member, our neighbor, knowns, unknowns, die in front of us. But when it comes to us, we feel that we're going to be living forever. We see, we hear others die, and when it comes to us, we feel that we're going to be living forever. So, hey, Yaksh, nothing can be more amazing or strange than this. And Yaksha said, it's the right answer. You may drink the water. The story was amazing and it struck me. It struck me to connect chords, or in Steve Jobs' words, connect the dot. The dots are connected. And I thought it's not only true or peculiar for us as humans, organizations are no different. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, organizations are no different. Name a CEO who has not gone to, or any CXO or senior management, or anybody who holds a commanding position in organizations, who hasn't been to seminars, webinars, attended keynote sessions, or himself be a keynote speaker, or a well-read person, who has not seen these examples of large organizations. You name it, you get it. Kodak, Blockbuster, Motorola, REM, Nokia, Xerox, and many others. And I'm sure all the people in the call and many more can name numerous examples of large organizations who once existed but are no longer there. They read about them, they talk about them, but when you ask them, can that happen to you? Can a Kodak moment or a Nokia moment can happen to you? They absolutely get into a denial. And they have different reasons for it. And my question to them is, didn't Kodak had a reason? Didn't Nokia had a reason? They all had reasons. So have you today. But it's not the talk of today. Innovation, transformation is preparing for the future. And as they say, ladies and gentlemen, future is now. Future is today. What you are enjoying today is the seed sown in the past. If you want to enjoy tomorrow, you have to sow the seeds today. So future is now, and innovation has to be done now. So from a stats perspective, as they say, 88% of all the Fortune 500 companies, as I mentioned, that existed in 1955 are gone. But it's not the story of only Fortune 500. It's just an example scale index. It's an eye-opener for everybody. So I'm sure I'll not bug you with the story. Everybody would have read through or gone through the Nokia story number of times. It's a story that has been used, overused, abused, and what all. So I'll not bug you. I'll take you to a very interesting aspect of Nokia. And I'm sure very few would have seen or undergone through that. That's my perception. Uh, so a perfect story from riches to rag in 2007 with a market share, a global market share of more than 50%, toiled down in next 4 years to 3.5% to 4%. An amazing story of what you need not do, or when you learn what you should do. So let me take you to the most interesting aspect of Nokia. There was a CEO memo which Stephen ELOP, then the CEO, wrote to the employees of Nokia. It was an internal memo that unfortunately got leaked out and was published. And we all have got the privy to it. I request all of you who are there in the call can after the call they can go on read the entire memo, the internal memo written to the Nokia employees by Stephen ELOP. It's a huge piece of study. It's an eye opener, and it's not me, but people say that it's one of the most interesting and exciting CEO memos ever seen or ever leaked, I would say. The memo titled "The Burning Platform." Why the burning platform? As you can see in the pic, it's about an interesting story about a man who used to work on an oil platform in the North Sea. Suddenly, one night, he woke up to a loud explosion. And within minutes, he saw the entire platform in flames, heat, smoke, fire everywhere. Somehow he managed to run and reach the dead end of the platform. Reaching the platform dead end, he had two choices. In front of him, down below, he could see the cold, dark, freezing Atlantic waters. And behind him was the heat, smoke, fire, which was ready to engulf him. So the choice was between the freezing water and that fire. The choice he made was the choice he would have never made, and he never made in the history, was to jump in the Atlantic, cold, freezing Atlantic waters. Good end to the story, somehow he was rescued. But the point is, he made a decision which in normal times he would have never made. Stephen ELOP starts this complete memo with this burning platform story. And he tells, being serious more, that we too are standing on a burning platform. Nokia, our platform is burning. Yes, Nokia, our platform is burning. We have lost market share, we have lost mind share, and we have lost time. Later in this memo, Stephen ELOP makes huge number of points, but some of the things that I have drawn out of that memo for you guys is, which I call as deep reflections, and which is something the crux or the core of the entire memo, which he asks, and I quote and I repeat. He asks people, how did we get to this point? Why did we fall behind when the world around us evolved? Why competitors poured flames on our market shares? What was happening at Nokia? Lower end was taken by the Chinese, the mid segment was taken by the Androids, and the top segment was taken by Apple. The point is, when the competitors were stealing, taking away our market share, what the hell in the God's name were we doing? Nobody had the answer. Whenever given a chance, and I'm there with the CXOs, these are the hard punchline questions that I ask or lay in front of them, despite they like it or not. But these are the questions that they need to reflect and ponder, because this was the fate of Nokia, but it can be the fate of any organization that doesn't work to create the future today, that doesn't think of innovation and transformation today. And you take it lightly at your own risk. And this was my question always. And I always used to ponder upon why does this thing happen? Why do we deny, undermine, or ignore a sign or a trend, although which is completely in contrast to the dominant logic for our today's industry? But more importantly, anything that appears to challenge our status quo or our current perspective on our businesses, our first lookout is to ignore them. And later, these so-called ignorances come out to beat us down. Searching for these questions, I got these answers from various interviews, talks, my own experiences with some senior leaders. They say the legacy, the tyranny of success, and the idea of being settled kills them. And then they say, when all these three things are working for us, why the hell change? The reasons that act against the change are structural and cultural inertia that runs and goes deep in an organization. The larger and the more historical an organization, deeper are the issues. The rigid bureaucratic controls. And last but not the least, tunnel vision, myopic vision. But what is the result? What is the result of having this kind of a perspective? Eventually, it results in an organization that has lost connect, purpose, and relevance with the forthcoming domains of customers, markets, and economic environments. Slowly, steadily, there is somebody working in the garage bringing out a new business model. By business model, very simply, what I mean is it's a secret sauce or a recipe. How does an organization create, capture, and deliver value? So the secret sauce of all of this is known as business model. So it's not only the emerging technologies by the name of AIs, the machine learnings, the IoTs, the 5Gs, the quantums, the blockchains. It's not only the emerging technologies, but a change in business models also. Together, when combined, is known as architectural innovation. When we get into that, is disrupting a huge number of organizations, huge number of industries and businesses. And somehow these organizations which are head sand deep with all these reasons given, they fall flat because they haven't prepared themselves for it. Innovation, as they say, has truly become the economic religion for the 21st century. No doubts about it. But is innovation alone sufficient? Will it only, it will give you a competitive advantage? Because the game is all about competitive advantage. And as what they say as moat, what is something which is your unique value proposition? So something where I felt that we can give it a strong nudge or a strong edge is innovation alone isn't sufficient. We devised the term transformative innovation practice. Innovation is basically a noun. Transformative modifies it being an adjective, and there lies the magic. There lies the magic. How do you approach innovation? How do you see innovation? What's your mindset when you're attacking it? Is something that gonna either kill it or fall flat. So it's not the noun innovation that I'm laying stress upon. It's the transformative, the adjective part of it, which is qualifying the noun innovation. And that is something that has gone deep in creation of this particular program, transformative innovation practice. People call it by different names. Some call it VUCA, some call it fourth industrial revolution, whatever be the name. But we are thriving, we are living in an environment which is highly volatile, increasingly complex, and blatantly ambiguous. And what we feel that in such a scenario, the three core imperatives for any organization must have are robust adaptiveness, responsiveness, strategic flexibility built into the ranks, and holistic response capability. Now, these are three things which will get you battle ready. If organizations are listening, they should listen with open ears. These are the three things that will help you fight the VUCA or the perils of fourth industrial revolution that are coming large towards you, whether you want it or you don't want it. So I've just stolen a line from one of my favorite Bond movies, Die Another Day. So if you need to live to die another day, you need to adopt these core imperatives, is the request. Now let's come down to the structure of the program. We had the genesis right. We had our intent right. Now it was time to get inspired to design the core of this program. What should be the real objective for the program? So there were 5 core objectives when I started working on this particular program. The first one was, how do we align to the reality that is stark in our faces? How do we deal with it? And to deal with it, it's more important is how do we understand and analyze it, and thereby develop a strategic response to it. Attacking a problem will not help you until unless you have understood it well. So the point is to understand it deep well. Once you have understood it deep well, how do you develop a strategic foresight capability? Now, ladies and gentlemen, this is the cutting edge of this program. Strategic foresight and peripheral vision capability. The current pandemic, which is completely uncalled for. Some people say it came from the left field. It could not have come, but it is a black swan. But I would say that the way we are progressing, these events will no longer be a black swan, the proverbial black swan. Events that are rare but have deep impact as defined. But it will become more of a norm. This is 2020, the most abused year as we go through all the posts, tweets in social media. But my question is, would these events end with 2020? It's a question for organizations to think and answer. But who will swim out when the tide recedes is the question that we all have. Who would have been better prepared who had the foresight, who developed that kind of intelligence and could take action accordingly. But how do you do that is important. And this is what I thought should be should hold a very great importance in this particular program. How do you build such capability in an organization? Futures intelligence, as some of the units in great organizations is called. The third is, after you have developed a strategic response, you have seen through what is approaching towards you, you have built scenarios. Now it's time for you to create an innovation portfolio. Not a project, not an idea, but a portfolio. A portfolio that consists of varying degrees of different projects and programs that caters to different multi-horizon growth plans based on the vision and objective of an organization. How do you manage them? How do you build it? On what basis do you build it? Here lies the most interesting part of strategy consulting, and this is what strategy is all about. How do you create? How do you develop? How do you manage innovation portfolios? Now, once the portfolios have been created, the most interesting thing is, how would we deliver it? How do we do it? So this is where the rubber meets the road. The innovation practice as a system. So we share with you in this particular program a 4E framework. And we have defined that as built to transform framework, 4Es. The 4Es are exploration, experimentation, evaluation, and execution. So once you have a portfolio and a portfolio has a project, the project comes to the road to get implemented or worked upon. We deploy the build to transform model, exploration into it, experiment to it, and evaluate, test it, and then execute. Now, there's a saying, and the saying is very true and right, that culture eats strategy for breakfast. I would extend it to culture eats strategy not only for breakfast, but lunch and dinner as well. All these innovation practices, and as I've read more and I've interacted more with the senior most people who have either holding or have held great innovation titles and roles, what went bad and why didn't innovation succeed was the culture was not conducive. The environment was not in the same line to encourage people to come and do something that has not been done before. So yes, the most important part, the fourth leg, was the question I thought, that how to nurture, build, and embed an innovation culture straight into the heart of the organization. How do we encourage creative capabilities, behaviors, mindsets, so that it gets ingrained in their behaviors, in their attitudes? So with these 5 objectives and the questions encouraging me to build, thereafter the work had a vector direction. And we built the program. Priya ran a campaign in which she asked, can you name the core elements? And yes, all these 4 are the core elements of a transformative innovation practice. Foresight, building scenarios, developing innovation strategy, building a core robust innovation practice system, the 4 E's, and then an innovation culture that takes care to nurture and embed innovation straight into the heart. These 4 form the core elements of the practice. And we have 4 modules dedicated, one to each of these core practices. Without much ado, I take you to the slide where I'll share with you the more descriptive part of the program, LTIP. The module 1 that's going to start on 21st of November And as I said in the beginning, to take care of your workload, we have kept these programs over weekends, 4 hours on Saturday, 4 hours on Sunday, in the first half. So 21st happens to be the Saturday and 22nd being the Sunday, where the module first is launched. And in the first module, we talk about the strategy bit. How do you tackle the fourth industrial revolution? How do you develop the strategic response to it? How do you generate the vision, objective, and thereby the strategy, right, for it? How do you develop the growth pipeline? How do you lead innovation with a portfolio approach? How do you build a portfolio? How do you connect the portfolio with the strategy with the vision? All of this constitute the 2-day learning in the first module that we have. The next week will constitute the module 2. And here, in these 2 days, 8 hours of hardcore learning with practice, we're going to be talking about how do we develop strategic foresight. How do we build scenarios that are of plausible future? How can we develop future intelligence department in an organization? How can we build strong resources that can understand the trends, drivers of change, and cast them into great scenarios, and then backcast it to the strategy bit into what do we want? These lenses are very powerful because typically an organization is deep into the transactional environment of it, which is close by. Our immediate suppliers, our immediate clients, our immediate competitors, and everybody, we are skin deep into them. Then here is somebody that comes from the periphery where we haven't even thought about, which is known as the contextual environment. All disruptions, ladies and gentlemen, haven't happened from the transactional environment. And by innovations, I mean disruptive innovations here. All eyes are glued on the transactional, but it hits us from the left field, and we don't have any answers to it. Strategic foresight, scenarios planning, help you get strong in this area. I'll run you through several case studies, and you will also work on a small bit on yours to understand how do we make sense of the future, because future is now. Module 3, the next week, where we enter December. Here, we will get into the innovation system, the practice, the 4 E's. We'll get down deeper into the exploration and the experimentation bit. We'll get down into how do we explore in 2 dimensions. The first dimension is the customers. The second dimension is the market. First individually, and then how do we connect these 2 domains? Because one without the other is a failure. Because repeatedly I have seen some people focusing only on the markets, doing all studies, business intelligence, competitive intelligence on their competitors, and they forget the customers. And this is the crime. The second people kind of innovators are those who concentrate only on the customers, they forget the markets. Here, what we're going to be talking about is simultaneously how to run these 2 domains. How do we explore both? How do we experiment both? How do we evaluate both? And that's going to be a strong crux that we'll be building. After we have done experimentation, we halt here and we wait for the module 3 to enter, where we get into the evaluation bit of it. All explored, all experimented until evaluated, and evaluated it right, will not get the right execution framework or the right executionable ideas, business models. So the 4th module, when we get into the 4th week, talks about the evaluation bit and the how do we execute it on ground and integrate it with our ongoing works, the BAUs. It will lay focus on that. But we'll also talk about one full day on culture, as we talked about. How do we map culture? How do we build innovation culture? The creative synergies, the intelligences, the skill sets, the mindsets. So with this, these four modules constitute the Power Pack program, LTIP. This program is a superb mix of concepts, theoretical strong understanding backed by research. We'll be talking and analyzing case studies of real life corporates and even startups. Plus, you will get an opportunity to choose and start a project before module 1 begins. And you work through the project in an iterative fashion till the very end. Last but not the least, who this program is for. Some bit I clarified at the start, but it can be your digital business transformation team, the leaders themselves, along with their team, innovation leaders, corporate innovation teams, accelerators, incubators, people who are in charge of business strategy development, coaches, advisors, consultants. It will be a great value add to one and all. The learning experience that we have set up for you is an interesting one. With the help of that platform, we have designed an excellent learning experience that will keep you hooked on, not only to understand, hear out, but also to engage and participate. All throughout, it's going to be an immersive experience. We'll take care of the workload, so it's not something that heavy project work will entail the next week that you're going to be working upon. We are mindful of that fact, but in small teams, each one of you, once the cohort starts, will be broken down, and chewable chunks of work will be given in the time between the first module and the second, which you're going to be completing as a group and presenting at the end of it. The details, you can run your eyes through it. We are also contemplating for a live program, physical program in May 2021. Not yet decided, but we are intending it. So program format, this is something which people ask me, how is this different? So the online format typically is where the pre-recorded videos are kept. You hear them, you close them, you choose when to start, when to end. And that's where the discipline ends. That's why Coursera's completion rate is less than 1%. Having said that, an online format works that way. Live online is where you have the instructor, you have the program leader up there during the entire program, the length and breadth of it, where you get an opportunity at the right moment to come through, participate, engage, share your points as well. So basically, it's engaging and interactive, and it scores high on the live or on the online format, as I've heard and as I've understood. So all this would be available on the site. This is something that was for your information right now. The last but not the least, before we wind up, is the MIT ID Innovation Venture collaborating with Strategy Forward Consulting. The formulation is, we are not only in the workshop program mode, we get into outcome-based sessions for individual corporates and organizations who invite us to deliver a 1 day, 2 day, or a 3 day outcome-based workshop that can be on innovation strategy, strategic foresight, visioning. It can be on idea to insight or insight to action or prototyping workshops, or the larger piece of work, which is the consulting projects. It can be a design, innovation, or transformation based projects, which are longer in nature, a month to 3 month to a 6 month work. So we have inbuilt capability for all the three formats to take care of. With this, I'll end my talk, and I would request you to scribe your questions. And over to you, Priya.
Thank you, Praveen. Quite an elaborate teaser for the upcoming masterclass. Thank you for all the inputs shared. Audience may please share their questions via the Q&A tab, or you could also text it on the chat mode. Praveen, I have a few questions in the meanwhile. So I'm sure it's an interesting program for all those who've been, a part of the webinar right now. Can you help us understand that, how it would help switch to an innovation or transformation role in an organization?
Yeah, a good question, Priya, indeed. So I myself was heading design-driven innovation team. So when I built this program, the core elements, or what you say, constituents that should be in a person whom I would hire for my team have been carefully drafted and kept in. So I would not say that just by going through this for a month-old program, the person will be ready, but it would give a very strong footing, and thereafter the growth is upon the individual themselves. But the four areas that are needed for anybody who is planning to switch, and no better time to start thinking of that switch than now, because objective settings would be done in January, Feb in the corporate, and then you can propose to your leader or your manager that you are rightly equipped with the right knowledge of innovation systems, foresights. You know how strategy works when it talks about creating a portfolio. You also know how the rubber meets the road in terms of the 4 E's. So I think you will prepare and you will push forward a strong candidature for a switch in your role.
I see. Thank you. Thank you so much. From all the programs which are available on innovation in the public domain, how would you say that this is different from the others?
So, frankly, when I saw most of the programs that are available, I'm nobody to criticize them, but the point is, one angle that was constantly missing was how did they connect strategy and foresight and then build an innovation program accordingly. So these are most important elements, because as somebody who has managed and dealt entangled failures and then found success in multiple projects, I understand where the cookie crumbles. So the order was either misplaced or was completely absent. And this is something that I tried to get in this program right. That how is, on what basis is your strategy influenced? How do you see the future? How do you make the future a part of today? And then bring all of this into your projects and then show results. So which have a good buy-in from the senior leadership. So all these things have been put strategically in the right place in this particular program, which we can say is a unique differentiating factor.
And of course, add to it your educational experience and your work experience, which has been so highly innovation focused as well.
Yeah.
Great.
Try to bring all of this into this program. Thank you.
Fantastic. So during the webinar, we in fact had a inquiry from Avinash Gupta, and thank you, Avinash. Yes, we will share the slides and the program details, and yes, you can connect us ahead to your employer. We'll be in touch. You have my ID, and we've got your ID. We will be connected on the same. I guess I also wanted to know that how does this program help for digital transformation roles? This would be the last question that we're taking. Yeah.
So half of my programs, or more than half of my program, I've worked on digital transformation. So digital transformation is less of tech, more of strategy. And this is something many research have proven. And I have hardcore experience on ground about that as well. So in digital transformation also, if you pick up any technology that you are planning to replace your legacy systems with, or your whichever areas that you've chosen to get into digital transformation with, strategy has to be influenced by foresight. And this is the core competence of this program, that foresight feeding into strategy feeding into execution, and these triumvirate makes any digital transformation a success. The reason we read in multiple articles that the digital transformation, more of the programs, 75%, 70% are meeting failures. And this is not what I say, Forbes have said in the report, is because either their foresight angle was not even kept into mind, because they were thinking of today and placing a technology with an old meaning. So that brought a doomsday for them. So when in this program we'll be doing strategy, we'll talk about 4 different types of innovation strategies that can be played up with, depending on the scenario and the contextual understanding. And this is something which digital transformation goes amiss at the beginning. With this program, it will be a strong, solid foundation for anybody into digital transformation also. Priya.
Sure. Thank you, Praveen. So, for more questions, to reach out to us offline. This curated masterclass certificate series will feature a variety of industry thought leaders like Praveen, who are a part of the global MIT ID innovation ecosystem. We encourage you to connect with us via our social channels to know more about MIT ID innovation program and upcoming engagements and online courses. For those interested in becoming top notch innovators, we invite you to explore our courses that will fast track your career path. So log on to www.mitidinnovation.com to kickstart your innovation journey with MIT ID Innovation Online. Let's learn, innovate, lead. Yours innovatively, Priya Dhawan signing off. Thank you once again, Praveen. And to everyone, stay connected, stay safe, and keep innovating every day.
Thank you, one and all.